Hello, I'm Tom Slater, Director of Americana Auctions at Heritage, and by default, our resident Pre-Columbian art specialist. In each introductory video, we normally try to focus on some of the highlights of the auction. However, when I tried to distill a working list of those items, I was hard-pressed to narrow it down to fewer than a few dozen examples, and I would hardly expect anyone to sit through a discussion that lengthy. Accordingly, I've decided to select a handful of personal favorites, by no means necessarily the most expensive or the most important lots in the sale. I hope you'll find them of interest. The main session opens with a selection of several dozen gold objects from Central and South America, ranging in value from under $1,000 to some $50,000. A piece which I find particularly interesting is lot 56-143, a very substantial cast gold pin or lime dipper from Calima, Colombia. Elaborately decorated, it's surmounted by an owl standing on a monkey. In the mythology of the ancient Calima people, owls represent the air and monkeys represent the earth. Obviously, these two creatures are inseparable. This exceptional example is estimated at $10,000 to $15,000. Among the most ancient objects is lot 56163, a very early Maya stone carving in a lovely sparkling green stone called fuchsite. This is a 4 5/8 inch seated figure, and it dates from the Proto-Classic period of circa 300 BC to 200 AD. It's a transitional style, and it exhibits many features of the earlier Olmec culture, and depicts a shaman in a mystical state of transformation. His face shows characteristics of the jaguar, and he has a small tail, confirming that he is in transformation. This elegant carving has been published in an important reference work, and it's estimated at $12,000 to $18,000. Next, I'd like to focus on some objects from the West Mexican cultures, which flourished from 200 BC to 200 AD. Pictured here are three massive fired ceramic figures, representing warriors as depicted by the three contemporaneous cultures. One is from Colima, one from Nayarit, and one from Jalisco, and they range in size from 14.5 to 19.5 inches. Identified in the catalog as lots 56041, 56208, and 56218, their estimated values range from $4,000 to $8,000 each. One of the most familiar and beloved forms in Pre-Columbian art are the charming ceramic vessels in the form of dogs, usually with a reddish-brown slip, which emanated from Colima in the same period from 200 BC to 200 AD. Our auction features an outstanding selection of these dogs, ranging in price from under $2,000 to upwards of $10,000. My favorite is this large 18-inch example in beautiful condition. His broad grin and perky ears make him look as if he's ready to play even today. The lot number is 56192, and he's estimated at $6,000 to $8,000. While the auction includes a number of museum-quality Colima pieces, I would be remiss if I did not call attention to lot 56180, a most unusual figure of a woman carrying a young shaman on her back. The configuration is highly unusual, and the artistic conception and fine detail make this 7-inch figure another personal favorite. The auction estimate is $4,000 to $6,000. Veracruz was also a source of some wonderful carvings in stone. A museum-quality example is lot 56302, a 9.5-inch hacha in the form of a curled armadillo. The exact use of these hachas is not yet known, although there's no doubt that they were connected to the ancient Mesoamerican ball game. Numerous ceramic figures have been found depicting ball players, with bulky yokes around their waist and a projection in the form of one of these hachas at the front. Full-size stone versions of both the yokes and the hachas are known, but it's uncertain whether they were actually worn or were intended as decorative or ritual representations of accoutrements originally made of more perishable materials, which have not survived. This armadillo hacha is estimated at $4,000 to $6,000. No Pre-Columbian auction would be complete without a wide selection of artifacts from the renowned Maya culture, which flourished from 600 to 800 AD in the Yucatan and what are now the modern nations of Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, as well as Belize. Our current sale features a number of museum-quality examples, but two of my favorites are lot 56258, a polychromed cylinder vessel, and lot 56061, a finely modeled ceramic figure of a Mayan dignitary. The vase features a corpulent ruler wearing an ornate animal headdress and seated on a jaguar pelt-covered throne. Two supplicants kneel before him, one wearing a crocodile and water lily headdress, and the other carrying two round objects which resemble parasols. A third figure stands behind them with arms crossed, and the two female attendants stand behind the ruler. It is quite reasonably estimated at $5,000 to $7,000. The figure is of a type made only on the island of Haina and is considered by most collectors to be the highest form of Maya ceramic figurine, renowned for their fine detail and rich polychroming. This exceptional example carries an estimate of $12,000 to $18,000. The Aztecs, the last of the great Mesoamerican cultures, directly or indirectly dominated much of the region when the Spaniards arrived in the early 1500s. While the Aztecs were prolific artisans, their sculpture and other artifacts are rare today, as the vast majority were destroyed during the early colonial influx. We're fortunate to offer an outstanding stone figure, height 13 inches, depicting a seated sacrificial victim. There's a hole in his chest where his heart had been ritually removed. This museum-quality example, lot 56245, is estimated at $12,000 to $16,000. While I focused mainly on Mesoamerica, the auction also features a fine selection of material from South American cultures. One of my favorites is lot 56327, an exceptional stirrup vessel from the early Chavin culture, which flourished from 800 BC to 400 BC. It is in the form of a finely modeled head with combed hair, the face brightly painted in cream and red. The detailed ear flares are in the form of descending serpents. This 9.5-inch vessel is in beautiful condition and carries an estimate of $12,000 to $14,000. While it's believed that carved wooden objects were well represented throughout pre-Columbian cultures, the vast majority of these artifacts, because of their perishable nature, have not survived. An exception is the wood carving of the Peruvian cultures, where the arid soil allowed their survival in remarkable states of preservation. Lot 56367 is a massive 25-inch post-top figure, an extremely well-carved male figure, probably a lord, because of his large ear ornaments and well-made garment. It is in the classic style of the Chimu culture, which flourished from 900 to 1350 AD, and it's estimated at $9,000 to $12,000. I hope you've enjoyed this brief overview of the items in this remarkable auction, and that you'll be inspired to study the catalog or view our items online to discover the many other treasures that I've not been able to discuss in these introductory remarks. Thank you for your interest.